I am Corey, Dungeon Master for this evening, and this is the official start of our Out of the Abyss campaign. We'll see how long it goes, since this is can be somewhat brutal of a campaign. But we will get to introducing the characters. For those of you who know the campaign at all, there's a little bit of a story going into it, and these guys have doctored up some interesting backgrounds and how they got themselves into the situation they're in. Before we start, I just wanted to say that thanks everyone for in the audience who is watching. Your support means a lot to us. There's a couple ways you can further your support. The easiest is just to subscribe to the channel. That allows you to see when we're on air. And you can also join our Discord. Our Discord is quite active all times a day, and we have quite a few people from around the country, some around the world. And so most hours a day you can find someone online willing to talk nonsense. If you've watched us for a while and you like what we see, or like what you see, we encourage you to subscribe to the Twitch channel, and also perhaps check out our Patreon page. Those patrons get access to slots in our community campaign. We have we have one going right now, and soon to be a second. The one ongoing one is Expedition to the Barrier Peaks, where currently the last maybe month and a half, our patrons have been exploring a mysterious, don't call it a spaceship, object up in the mountains. And then in October, we are going to start the Lost City, right, Alex?
Yeah, so we'll be. I've been paging through the book and furiously trying to add information into the fantasy grounds, which we used as our virtual tabletop for those. And there's a lot of content. They built a lot of content into this particular version of the original Adventures Reincarnated. So I'm looking forward to seeing what direction that campaign goes in.
Yeah, and these are all our community campaigns. The recent ones have been based off the Goodman Games Adventures Reincarnated. I think it's the series where they're going back.
Original Adventures Reincarnated. So this was the fourth one, and the fifth one is coming out in late October. The Amber
Castle Amber.
Castle Amber, yeah.
We all of us have had tons of fun on those. So if you're interested in joining us, we definitely welcome you. And no character background is too silly. Let's see. So we are going to trying to think about the best way to do this. Basically, the characters have found themselves in an unusual predicament. In each of their own ways, they have found themselves locked up inside a prison deep beneath the Forgotten Realms in the Underdark. Their hands have manacles around them. There's a chain that goes between their hands to a collar around their neck. And we're gonna sort of narrate some of this beginning part because they didn't arrive together and they don't know each other. And as it turns out, they're not alone in this predicament. So we're gonna start in the order that they arrived, which we sort of rolled right before we went on stream. And so I'm going to ask, as your name comes up in the story, for you to introduce yourselves, to tell us about your character, their background, and what was happening right before they suddenly succumbed to drow poison, which is the last memory they have before they woke up here. So first and foremost, Vic,
Oh, hey,
you have been there for 9 days now.
9 days. Well, that's a long time to be really anywhere for Vic. I don't remember a whole lot. My name's Vic Valentine. I am a half-elf bard. And the last thing I remember, I was just having a nice little dinner with my brother, my sister. They're treating me to fancy, high class life up there in Waterdeep. They've really made it. So nice of them to invite me up. I'm looking to find my way up in them parts too. They're very well connected with the social elite. They're performers, you see, and well, we were just celebrating, having a good time. I remember my brother saying something. He needed to go use the restroom, and then oh man, it was like the worst. I just woke up here in this strange place, totally hungover. That don't happen to Vic too often. It was the worst hangover of my life. But I'm hoping to find out what's going on, and you'll see Vic. He's kind of got a peculiar look to him. Like he keeps up with some of the latest styles and trends. He's got like slicked back, kind of short on the sides, but long on the front. Black hair that's combed over. His ears are gauged, and it looks like he's put a couple of gold coins in there to keep those ear holes open. Big neck tattoo of two lyres, kind of stylized, almost look like a butterfly, and a big, very obnoxious skull as the head of that butterfly. Little thin pencil, mustache, soul patch, very fashionably dressed, although a little ragged at this time after 9 days of captivity. So that's Vic.
All right. And I think you open your eyes and you immediately are looking in what seems to be the deepest, like, eyes you've ever seen connected to an individual, full of an old soul, looking straight back at you. And he has both hands on your shoulders, and he says, "Everything's fine." And your eyes, your dark vision sort of starts to take, like, you're able to see, and you're in a very, there's some illumination, but it's not very good. And you see in front of you one of the deep gnomes, who you probably have never encountered before, or maybe you've seen them from afar. And he looks at you and he says, "My name is Jim Jar, and don't worry, son. You're gonna be fine." Um,
Well, I like hearing those things because I was feeling a little nervous, but you're really putting me at ease.
um, he says, I don't want you to panic. We're in a difficult place, but I think we'll be all right." And you hear a woman's voice sort of scoff. It's a very deep voice, and you look over to your side, and there's another dwarf, or I'm sorry, a dwarf, um, in and she is sitting there, and you could tell that she is a warrior. Like, she is tough, like bruised knuckles, everything. And she looks at you and she says, "You said the same exact thing to me, but I don't see things getting better." And they start to tell you that you are deep, deep underground, um, within a drow outpost. And as you look around, you see you're in. I'll give this to you guys. I'm going to show all of you the full map, because over the course of the time you're in prison, you're not going to have much trouble. Can you guys see that, the whole map?
It's all black right now.
All black right now. Let's see.
Is your fog of war on?
Might be. Is that better?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So,
Yeah.
and I encourage you to look at both parts of the map. So there's the top down, and then explaining a little bit better is the what's below the side view. You guys are in the side view. If you're looking down there, you'll be right here. So you are well above the floor of the cavern. And Vic, you hear a massive waterfall nearby. And you just hear that maybe absence of sound that you hear when you're in a wide open space in the dark. You know there's not much around you. The walls glow, and at first you're not sure why, but then you see there's a fungus growing on it that give a little bit of light to the place. Um, but in general, you feel the manacles around your hands, and they connect to your neck, and it's rough living. In fact, for the next few days, let me just check on this. For the next few days, not a lot happens. About once a day, the guards, who are all drow, um, will start bringing in just once a day this like cold soup, just that tastes earthy and is absolutely like at first you definitely don't like it, but you come to love it because it's the only sustenance you can find, and you definitely after a day or two realize that this is just mushrooms, ground up mushrooms with some water and maybe a little bit of salt or whatever. It is not very tasty, but it'll let you survive. Um, on on the third day, and you saw this happening to the other two. On the third day, they drag you out of the prison, and they start making you do chores. And so on the third day, I think probably what happens to you is um, they give you um, the enviable task of emptying out chamber pots. So you are walking around with one of the guards who brings you through all of the living areas. And you learn the ins and outs of how this place is laid out. Basically, this place is carved into four stalagmites. What comes down? I don't know.
It's
Tights. So four stalactites connected by a number of bridges. A few are built against the wall, so you can see up. The overhead view gives a little bit better picture. You guys are here in the overhead view, by the way, if you can see that.
Okay.
Um, and down below you, basically what you're doing is you are grabbing these chamber pots and you are emptying them, basically dumping them down this waterfall. So while you're doing that, if you don't mind making me a quick perception check with disadvantage, because it's kind of a far drop to that pool below. And so for those of you who are watching on the stream, one of the things we are doing is we are fully doing this with D&D Beyond. And so you guys can check out all the character sheets for all our characters. But we are trying to use Roll20 solely for the maps and then do all the rolling and the character sheet management inside of Roll20. So unfortunately, looking down, like you can see the occasional reflection of the pool below, but you don't see too much.
Vic is too focused on these chamber pots. They really pile up. You got to pile them one on top of the other. It's very delicate, so you don't want to spill these.
You definitely see this whole place is like covered in webs, and occasionally you do get the sense that there's something moving up above you inside the webs. If you fell off, you'd probably you'd probably get stuck in one of the webs, is your guess. But you might fall straight through, who knows, into whatever's below. Maybe about on day 4, and if there's anything you want to do with Jim Jar, or you learn L Death, Eldeth for the party at least. Eldeth is a character they are actually familiar with from another session we ran. These characters are not familiar, but the players are. Eldeth was in a hunting party, hunting drow, and she got caught and dragged here. Jimjar is a little shady about where he came from and how long he's been here.
So he's been here long time, is
He,
longer
yeah,
than Eldeth.
yeah, he was here. He woke Eldeth up too.
Are they doing like the same jobs that I am, or are they on other duties?
They're on other duties. They like it switches. Maybe one day you guys are doing the same one, and this will go on every day. You don't get assigned you don't get assigned to chamber pot duty every day. So, but we'll talk about day 4 here in a minute. So yeah, on day 4, I will say during this time, Vic, I think inside one of the chamber pots is where you find a piece of flint. And it's pretty nice size piece of flint, and you realize that you are still wearing like your underclothes, and you realize that in basically in your belt you can hide this piece of flint, and that will work as a dagger for you. The next day, day 4, Vic, you are awake as the drow drag over a gnome. Dolphix, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello, I'm Dolphix. Nice to meet you all. Despite how old I look, I am, in fact, a wizard's apprentice. Still just learning magic, and I was out about. My master sent me out on a mission, and I was in a tavern, and I thought I saw someone I recognized. But when I went off to find her, I don't know. Next thing I knew, I woke up here. So, anyone has any information, that'd be great.
Vic just goes over to this new recruit, hands on his shoulders, starts rubbing them. Hey, it's going to be okay. Things are going to be all right. We're in a difficult spot here, but... Yeah,
personal space, please. Just,
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
This is how they greeted me.
Jimjar gives you a polite nod, and Eldeth just looks and like rolls her eyes. And a short time after, as you're getting sort of adjusted, Dolphix, you hear the guards approaching again, the drow guards, and you hear a voice, and it's a little bit unusual. It's very highly accented, but it's speaking in it would be speaking in Undercommon, and none of you speak Undercommon. So I think Jimjar is sitting here. He's sort of narrating what's going on for you, and he's like, "Well, this is kind of unusual. I didn't expect this at all." And he starts translating for you. You hear someone. The translation is something like the guards are telling them to like move along, typical like jerk guard attitude as they push them towards the prison cell. And you hear the guy being like, "Hey man, it's all right. Like, I'll go peacefully. I'm a pacifist." And the door opens, and you see. Oh, sorry. I realized I could give you some. 1 second. I'm failing in my task of giving you handouts here.
Of managing your 30 NPCs?
Yeah. Player handout.
Cast of thousands.
Player art handout. Named NPCs. Okay. Who did I said, who did we do so far? We did Jimjar. So
Jimjar Moosh.
We did Eldeth.
Jim Jar's my man.
Eldeth. And now you see. Where'd you go? Oh, here it is. Something none of you have seen before. There's no way that you have seen one of the Koatoa.
This is the pacifist that we're hearing.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So sorry, I'm getting character name, Dolphax and Vic. Make me a quick history check. All right, Dolphax. You have never, ever, Koatoa were only described as by your master as aggressive, as like bloodthirsty, and as absolutely insane. Like that something had perverted them genetically for years, and they can't hold on to sanity. So this stands a little weird to that. And he gets pushed in, and he's like, "It's okay, man." And Jim Jar goes over to him, and in Undercommon, you see Jim Jar put his hands on his shoulder, and the Koatoa are pretty big, so putting it up, and you see what you can only assume is the same exact scenario that has happened, and you see the Shushar, who is his name, gives a very hippie nod, like, "Yeah, man." And he goes over and he sits down.
So, Shushar, you say that's your name. You're a delightful toad person. I'm very happy to have met you.
He, it's all good, man. I'm happy
How
to be
did you
here.
how did you come to be down here?
He's like, I was on a pilgrimage. And
Oh.
these nice people, they gave me this place to stay for the night. It's all good.
It's all a matter of perspective, isn't it? That's what I'm learning. I think I'm going to start to see it that way, too. We're just guests here. This is okay. We got a job. It's
You
fine.
gotta spread the good vibes, man. Gotta spread the good vibes.
Not sure I'm going to agree with that.
Yeah, I don't believe it either, but maybe it'll help over time.
Once you realize there's too much killing, you'll see it like me, don't worry. Eldeth is like you can see like the blood pressure rising in her. Like she's clearly like angry and wants to like escape immediately. That day, the two of you are put on duty together. This is for Dolphix and Vic. And so I would say that you guys today, and if you have any, we'll go over like once all five of us are introduced, we'll sort of go over. We'll start to make the plan for escape. I'm glossing over some of this information that you're learning at this time. But I would say that you guys are you're forced to fill and haul water barrels, and so basically, let me see if I can do this.
So I'm going to cut in real quick just to let us all know we did get some inspiration from our one and only Zombie Joe is being nice to the players. So,
Thank you.
So, in fact, that's one thing I didn't get to do in our pre-session. Will one of you for me? So what we're going to do with inspiration is we're converting that directly into rerolls. And so a reroll will, so we have 5 rerolls on the books. Can someone be my quartermaster for this session and maybe open up, just keep that handy?
What do you need me to do, Core? Keep track of?
Just the number of rerolls and any group treasure we get this session.
All right, I can do that.
Okay, and we'll set up a Google Doc or something to keep it all. I just forgot to do this tonight. So we have 5 rerolls. They're open to everyone. So someone can use all 5. You can only use one per roll. So like you can't use all 5 on the same roll. Thank you, Zombie Joe. Yeah, so you guys are excuse me. So where is my map? I lost this. So you guys are actually where's a good example? I'm looking on the overhead map right now. And right here. There's a rivulet carved into the rock that creates a water flow that has a small little waterfall and then goes back into the main waterfall. And so with that, you are able to fill barrels, and it's pretty miserable work. Can both of you let's say how am I going to do this? So the barrels are heavier than one of you could pick up. So you're going to have to do it together. So one of you can make a strength check with advantage, and to see if you're able to accomplish this task without really pissing off the 2 drow guard who are right next to you.
I would, but my back. Yeah.
All right. Well, just stabilize it for me then. Hold on.
Okay.
Did you say it was a strength athletics?
Yeah, it can be athletics. Absolutely.
Okay. Not that it matters to me.
Okay. So yeah, you're
not
able to
bad.
drag it back to the kitchens, which the kitchens are down around here. If you're looking at the overhead map.
I'm also side-eyeing Vic, like,
Okay.
very severely, seeing as I am a middle-aged gnome that is both older and smaller than he is. But
There's definitely like no indication that I have any back problems, but you've observed me over the past few days. I make a lot of noise about all the work that I'm doing. But you've observed that I probably do half as much as like the next laziest person.
Yeah. So that you have no problem moving over the barrel with his help, and you drop it off in the kitchen. You sort of see probably today maybe Elda has been set to cooking duty, and so you see her in there cooking when you drop off the water. She gives you like a very neutral face, recognizing that there's 4 guards there and they're playing cards. And you do some other small tasks, and they throw you back in the prison cell.
Are the guards are playing like cards?
They are.
Is it like a gambling kind of situation?
Yeah, it appears to be. They're speaking in undercommon, so it's really hard to figure out what's going on.
So Vic is going to kind of like draw himself like opposite whoever he perceives as the most friendly of these guards. Not that any of them have been, but he's gonna just decide like one of them he's gonna make some kind of a relationship with, and he's gonna walk up behind one of the other drow and look at his hand and try to like signal to him something about some advantage about what that guy's hand is, what cards he has, some advantage that I could signal to the other the drow that I'm trying to schmooze.
All right. I'm gonna do this with 2 checks. The first is to figure out what card game they're playing. So I need just a general intelligence check from that one. Okay. And then the second is, I'm assuming you're doing it without letting anyone else know you're doing it, right?
Yeah, just kind of like some kind of like a silent hand gesture, like a charades type thing.
Yep. So stealth. Or sleight of hand is fine. Yeah, sleight of, whichever you can pick. Okay. So you think like you do like you are stealthy enough to avoid being caught by the other three people who are watching, and Eldeth is looking at you a little strange as you do it. And the guy looks up at you, the guy who you're trying to make friends with, and he's like, "What the fuck are you doing? Get back to work." In very, very broken common. And Ben just keeps playing like nothing just happened.
That's all right. He's angry now, but towards the end of that game, he's gonna be real happy with old Vic.
Did you say that out loud?
No, it's
Or-
like self-talk in my head, like my own running narration of how friendly people are with me.
Okay. So you guys wander back, and I'm just I'm trying, like I said, I'm trying to narrate through this just to get people in the mix. The next day, early in the day, the drow open the door, and you just hear something heavy, really, really heavy being moved. And you hear the drow open the key to the door, and one of them, and up to now, the drow, like, they're elves, right? So they're in some sense like pinnacles of like very standard beauty, like very symmetrical beauty, no blemishes anywhere to be seen, nothing that would diminish from their sort of their that perfection. However, this one, you see, one is talking with the two guards. His whole face is wildly disfigured. It almost looks like he was the victim of like an acid attack, or like his face burnt. Like it's disturbing to look at. You hear him talking in undercommon to the other two guards. The other two guards open the door. When they open the door, you see a giant quaggoth lying at the floor. And one of the guards in very broken common says, "Hey, you, drag him in there. He's your new roommate." And
Jim Jar, I did the welcome thing last time. You're up, man.
Jim Jar sort of stands up, and he mutters something to Shush Jar, and the two of them get up, and they start to drag in your new friend. Sorry, I can't find him. Who is still passed out when he's dragged in. Darendil. You guys, he starts to be dragged in, and you hear the guards start to close the door, and you hear the one with the disfigured face say, No, wait. There's another one here to be thrown in there." And so, Zaum, if I'm saying that right, Zaum.
Zom.
Will you describe yourself and the situation that led you here?
Well, as you said, the left side of my face is kind
Oh,
of.
sorry, that was another guy.
Oh well, I
Yeah,
also
sorry,
have
but if
the
that's the
same.
same for you,
Maybe
but
we're
I
brothers.
was describing one of the drow.
Oh, okay. Well, I also have a terrible disfigurement on the left side of my face. Yeah, I probably have. I think I have all my equipment taken away from me, so I'll just describe my regular looks. You see this bald, pale, very pale guy. He stands about 7'2", 7'1". Of course, he's laying down now because he's almost passed out. But he's he was he's from Baldur's Gate, and he used to be a paladin for uh, Paylor, but he didn't really like the Paylor vibe. They seemed very, very fake to him, very like too happy-go-lucky, but like mega church when it came to like finances and money, and he just wasn't vibing with that. So he went completely opposite and became a Baneite, basically a knight, and he was doing dealings with the drow as far as slave trade goes. He's basically a slave catcher, and he was dealing some dealings with them. And one of these dealings was a double cross, and now he's here. Basically, blow darted in the back of the neck, and he's like, "Oh, what the?" and just passes out.
All right.
So,
And I think how this happens is Shushnar has adopted the everything's going to be fine Jim Jar approach, and he deals with the Quaggoth, while you get the full on Jim Jar. Everything will be fine, and it's weird because as you look in his eyes, there is this real feeling of depth and warmth that exists nowhere else within 5 miles of you. It is just this cold, lightless existence that you wake yourself up to. Um, you um, uh, you wake up to see the cast of characters we already described, and as well as the Quaggoth begins to rouse, maybe a few hours after you do, because they had to use a lot of poison on them. The Quaggoth starts speaking, and for those of you who speak Elvish, any of you?
I do.
Okay.
As do I.
He starts speaking in Elvish, this Quaggoth. Not in common, not in undercommon. But here's what's weird. He starts speaking a version of Elvish that seems to be 200 to 300 years old. And so he's like, I don't know if I can do this consistently. Like, my humblest thanks for thine help. I am Prince Darendil of one of the Sun Elves.
Oh. Well met.
Ooh,
Prince
that's
Darrell.
interesting.
He's like, I know I don't look right. I understand it's a terrible curse.
Okay, I didn't want to be the first one to break the news to you.
No,
but
no.
thanks for mentioning that.
Something I've longed to break this curse, and I'll find the wizard who did this to me.
Yeah, they might be hauling in wizards down here too. It just seems like so many people are coming through. Could be, chances are that whoever did this to you might become a prisoner and show up here.
Yes, we are getting pretty crowded here.
It is very crowded, and it's only getting more so. I will say, have any of you You have had all your things stripped away. However, some of you may have the ability to do abilities. Are any of you, as these days go on, attempting that?
Let me look at my
So
ability.
I'll keep going, and then if you think of like if you want to experiment with what you can do, just interrupt me because I'm more than happy to torture you. So the next big thing I think you see is you hear a conversation between two of the guards, and it's not the guards who are right outside your door, but it's maybe on one of the platforms a little farther away. And you hear Shushnar get very sort of upset at the conversation. It's in Undercommon. And he walks over to the window, and he says, Jim Jar translating for you. I say, put him down. That is not the way. Please. He's done nothing wrong. And you can hear what sounds a little like roughhousing or like they're playing a game. And eventually you hear the voice of the disfigured drow sort of yelling, very, very harsh and very stern. And you see the two of them, two drow guards walk over, and they're carrying something incredibly tiny that just looks like a ball of flesh. And they open up the door and they literally like underhand toss it in, and it lands against the back wall with like a thud, like a fleshy thud, and then falls to the ground. And all you can see is this tiny ball that's just shuddering.
Well, this is a tricky one. That one don't look like he got no shoulders to rub. Jim Jar, how do we handle the welcoming party here?
You see Jim Jar talking to Shushinyar, and then he turns back to you and he says, I do believe this is one of the Myconid people. And he goes down, and Jim Jar puts his hand, just one hand, on the thing. And you now see what is completely curled into a ball, a very tiny mushroom man. Nope, that's not him. What's his name? His name is... Stool.
Oh.
Stool.
Really?
Okay, you're my new favorite.
And you
Is there
hear...
supposed to be a face there, or is that it?
That is it. That's all you see. And Shushnar sits down, like crosses his legs, crisscross applesauce, sits down next to Stool, and just sort of is gently there. It is, you're pretty sure they were using him something like a soccer ball before he was thrown in.
Is Zaum, are you like unconscious right now, or
He would have woken up. This is
okay?
A few hours after he woke up.
So Vic just wants to go and have a little one-on-one time with Zaum. I mean, there's a lot of onboarding that needs to happen here. He's gonna wake up and see little mushroom people walking around and Quagos, I believe they're elves. So I just want to like get out in front of that to comfort Zaum that he's not gone completely nuts.
Zaum, are you reactive to this? Is this something you want, or is this...
Say it again. Sorry, it broke up.
do you react positively to the fact that Vic is coming over and trying to like be your friend?
I look at him with murder in my one good eye, because the other eye is cataracts due to uh, the mutilation on the other side.
It
Does it
kind of.
look like I'm here for friends?
Well, the look that you got right now is a common look that I have noticed around here, so I'm not sure how to read that. I clearly, you need your space. I get it. I'll just be right over here. Okay. And Vic will take the hint and and make way and make some space.
I just grunt and grimace, and I go back into massaging my massive poison drow headache.
All right. So,
By the way, DM,
yeah.
I'm not sure if any day has passed by since, but or we've been, since I'm here, have I been commanded to do anything? And if so, has any of the drow guards like messed with me?
So, you are in the first day that you've been awake. So, you haven't really gotten a chore yet. But rest assured, they will mess with you. Was there something you were trying to do?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on how bad they mess with me.
Okay. I will say around this
Okay,
time,
I feel like
all of you, you're talking a little bit, right? And you do realize that you can talk in common pretty well, and they don't really understand you. They know you're talking, but their common is a little shaky. But not everyone amongst you can talk in common. But around this time, you do start to realize some of the internal politics of this outpost. And one in particular is that this guy Jorlon, who is the guy with the face, you know his name now. He's on the outs with whoever this Ilvara is, who is the priestess who's in charge of this outpost. And the rumor on the street that you're hearing from the guards, and you're mostly hearing this be two guards talking or while you're doing chores. The rumor on the street is that Jorlon is no longer pretty, and Ilvara wants none of that anymore. But he's still stuck working with her. You have not seen Ilvara. You have seen another priestess around. You're not sure how senior she is. She doesn't interact with you in any way, shape, or form. She does interact with the guards. And so you're not really sure. I'll speed this along a little bit. So I think the next thing that happens before we meet our last two, a few days pass. You're assigned various tasks. The drow are cruel, right? And so little things will happen like um, uh, they'll intentionally set you up for failure. They will, for instance, maybe do the chamber pot task and intentionally dump it on you, and then make you clean it up. They make you clean their underwear. It's demeaning. You are slaves to them, and it is not pleasant.
I would say, I I would say on the probably before our next character is introduced, it's just one day it's just gonna piss me off so bad, especially if it's like one of the same guards like just picking on me.
Mhm.
Uh, I I will just turn around to him or her, whoever the guard is, and I will say, "I am not your whipping boy," and then I will activate my necrotic shroud.
Okay.
So Once prolonged rest as an action, you can transform, causing all within 10 feet to make a charisma saving throw, DC 13, or be frightened of you until the end of the next turn. Um, this lasts for a minute or until you end it as a bonus action. And if I could flavor text my necrotic shroud real quick, uh, the mutilated side of my face, the holes in the mutilated side of my face, start leaking green flame, and it kind of bursts out, and
Okay.
you just see this just horrible visage, come out. But yes, they would have to make a charisma saving throw, DC 13.
Okay.
I'm sure they'll beat it and then just beat my ass after.
Can I ask, where are you doing this? Are you doing it while you're out in tasks, or are you doing it
Yeah,
from the
like
prison?
like no, I'll do it out when I'm having tasks. Like I'm about to pick something up, and I imagine the guard just like kicks it away or
Yep.
something, and yeah, I just had it. I'm just no.
Charisma saving throw, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Here's 1, and here's 2. So, oh, sorry, you don't see those. 16 and 14, I'll fix that before the next. I don't mean to whisper my rolls.
Oh, well, they're not afraid.
But they are like, they immediately react, and you hear them talking to yourselves. Whatever task you were doing, you are no longer doing. They throw you back into the cell, and for the rest of the time, you don't get any task. So just as we're going through, they never bring you out to do any task around again.
Oh, that's how you get out of doing the work. I wish I had that trick.
Yes, you burst into flames.
Okay. So I'm gonna try. I have to do one thing before we introduce our last 2 characters, who will come in together, and that is Shushnyar. Sort of finally, like, you see him, his patient's sitting next to stool. You see, you see Shushnyar sort of like drawing things in the sand, and in front, or in the rocks, and at the bottom, and you see occasionally Stool also draw things in the sand, and he can't talk, like he has no mouth. But then you see something pretty miraculous, like one of these like comforting things that you sense Jim Jar's eyes. Stool sort of stands up a little bit taller, like 2 inches taller, and you see this iridescent spores just float through the entire prison cell, and they start to settle. And as they settle on you, you suddenly are very aware of each other's thoughts. Not thoughts. You can't mind read. You are suddenly aware of a connection with each other, and you very quickly realize you can now talk to each other without not vocally. And you start to hear Stool's story, and it's just terror. He went out finding more mushrooms to bring back to the patriarch, and he got lost, and he doesn't know where he is, and he doesn't know how to get home, and all he knows is he just wants to go home. And you get the very distinct sense that he is like a 3-year-old child if he were human, and he is terrified. And you hear Shushnyar, this very calming voice, and Jim Jar contributes as well, talking to Stool and just talking him through that everything's going to be okay. We'll get you back home to your colony.
Yo, Jim Jar, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so I just want to do a check-in here. Maybe, can you all hear me? And like, I'm maybe trying to send that to Dolphix and Zaum.
Yeah, so you can, it is, How do I want? It's not mind reading, so you can broadcast things to the group. You can't broadcast one-on-one, and Stool can do this 3 times a day, and it lasts for an hour each time.
So Vic is like definitely like intentionally trying to broadcast like a simulcast like message to everybody. He's like, you all heard that story, right? Oh, Vic, I was resigned to spend the rest of my days here in this dank old cave here and do these chores. That's fine, but damn it, that was the saddest story I ever heard. We gotta do something. We gotta get out of here. We gotta help this little thing. Agree?
Eldeth like stands up, and she's like, "When do we go?"
Well, I think we better have a plan first, but Vic isn't really a planning type, so I just wanted to do a little check-in, see where we're feeling, because I'm feeling it.
You, Shushnar and Jimjar are both a little more like Shushnar is definitely like go with the flow. He's like, as long as we don't hurt anyone, man, I'm sure we can just ask them to let us leave. And and Jimjar is very into like our destiny has been written. And so if it's our destiny to leave here, then there's no doubt in my mind we will leave. Some of the others are very like keen on it, like Prince Darendil. Absolutely. He's like, I refuse to be demeaned by this body any longer. I must find the wizard who cursed me. Which brings us to our next scene. So, you guys hear from inside the prison this happening. But out here on the plaza, out here, if you're looking over, something unusual is happening. 2 of you, and I'll let you introduce yourselves in a minute, wake up outside of the prison cell. Let's start with Drazzle.
All right. Drazzle is a lizard man or lizard folk, to be descriptive. He's a bit on the shorter end, closer to 6 foot, not nearly as muscular as you might expect, with a bit of a paunch. And his skin is kind of in the middle of its molting shedding stage, which makes him look kind of patchy. And having once had his tail damaged as a child, it's a slightly discolored version of the rest of him. So that's his appearance. He's a cleric of the light, and whenever you say I'm actually awake, I can go in character.
Wait, I'm sorry, repeat that last part?
When you say I'm awake, I just was describing what was found laying out there.
Yeah. So you find yourself, you're in the manacles like everyone else, right? So you have 2 manacles around your you don't have your stuff with you. That's gone. You have a manacle around you. Those are connected to do you call it a manacle or a collar around your neck? And you are attached to Jaisa. You describe yourself.
Sure. I'm Jaisa. I am a rather pale-skinned halfling female with dark hair and wearing what appears to be a heavy leather, the upper part of leather armor, but it looks like it was made for someone human-sized. I'm only about 2'9". And so the sleeves have been cut off and it's been sort of folded over itself and tied to be tight across her. But then it hangs down to just below her knees as almost looks like a long coat, but it appears to be an oversized shirt. And you can see that on one of her arms, she has a tattoo of a fox running.
So the commotion all of you here, but two of you see it. There is a little bit more light, but everything here, and the two of you have no dark vision. So you are just going off by the dim light of this fungus that's glowing on the walls, and you can see a little bit of heat and light coming from the kitchen, which is down here. Oops, can I point? Yep, down there. You see manacled to the wall a drow, and the guards are taking turns scourging him, and he is basically nearly dead. And you can see with great pleasure these guards, and you see some of the drow look over at you, and they see you're awake. And one of them says something to the other guard in Undercommon, and then they turn back to you, and they say, "Don't you worry. This isn't going to be your fate if you know how to follow instructions. You too will bring us great prestige and great money, particularly to Ilvara." You see the drow who's been chained up sort of slump, like he is no longer conscious. And you hear like one of the guards has the scourge and is about to um, do a final scourge, perhaps killing him. You see two of the guards run up and just sort of tackle him, and you just hear the name over and over, Ilvara, Ilvara, like, and so they pick him up and they drag the two of you into the prison with the rest of them, which is now really overcrowded. Still more, unfortunately. But you go in and you see this very unusual cast of characters, and they sort of really, really unceremoniously throw this other drow in with you. He is covered in blood.
Well, hello, everyone. This is an excellent morning. How did I get to this best of all possible worlds? Who can tell me? Where are we?
And Jim Jar comes over to you and says, "My friend, everything will be all right."
Of course it is. Everything is well. Everything is for the best.
And he says, you have just taken a trip down amongst the drow. Think of it as an unusual vacation.
Oh, that's excellent.
I hate to interrupt this, but shouldn't we tend to this one? Does anyone have any knowledge of medicine? See, it doesn't look so good.
Is he here for our food?
Eldef is like, "That's a drow. We should kill him."
Will we eat him then? Is that what this is for?
At this point, Zomp stands up in his full height, goes over to the drow. Ben kneels down, grabs him. I'm guessing it's a him.
It's him.
By his hair, kind of holds him up like this, looks at his face, and then puts his other hand on his face, and he says, "Get up," and he dumps in about 3 points of lay on hands.
The healing energy floats out of your hands and does nothing. It just stops.
Was that supposed to do something?
I checked to see if he's still alive.
He is still alive. He's unconscious. So you guys can just use basic first aid to make sure he stays unconscious and not dead.
Well, I know some basic first aid from the arena. I can take a look.
Eldeth is sort of like, she's scoffing and she's like, this is bad news. So you managed to do like, all you have is like fungus, right? And the bits of clothes around, cloth that like is on you. And the 5 feet of rope. And you do the best you can. He's going to be out for a while. And it's not clear, really not clear what's going on. Even Jim Jar is a little confused about what happened.
Vic's kind of hanging back, and I know that probably our new friends maybe don't have the telepathic spores yet, but I know that Zaum does, and so I'm gonna message Zaum and say, "Hey, I noticed you trying to do something there with your hands to help that feller there. Didn't look like anything happened. Is that unusual for you?"
My hands do the Arthur meme clenched fist, and I kind of glare back at you.
Oh,
And
that was offensive.
You hear a tempered in your head. Is unusual. Yes.
Oh, okay. Where's one of those chamber pots? And Vic doesn't really understand some of the abilities that he has either, but I'm going to attempt. I think I can attempt I think healing word. I don't know. My look it just says components verbal, so I think I could attempt this.
Correct. Yep.
So I'm going to try that.
It falls. It comes out of your mouth, and it just sounds, in the musical sense, it sounds flat, strange. It just doesn't. It burns the spell slot, but nothing happens.
Drazzle has just found a comfortable spot along the wall to sit down and kind of relax.
Is there some way that like Dolphix can tell if something that's happened to the drow prisoner that's preventing the magic, or is it because we're
Make me an Arcana check.
Or did you
yeah,
say
actually,
that?
Wait, hold up. Before you make the Arcana check, I was going to say I was going to do the same thing, so I'll provide you advantage. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Okay.
What? And then I heard.
Yeah, Corey, did you say that that Drazzle and Jason are bound together?
They would have not bound you together. Like they would have unbound you.
Okay.
But you still have the.
So we're chained to ourselves, but not to each other anymore.
Exactly. When they put you in that prison cell, yeah.
Gotcha.
Just as you were being transported, you were definitely chained together somehow. So.
What's the range of motion on the chains that are on us?
So you can do anything. Like you have a fair bit of motion. Like so, these tasks you can still do that they were doing. However, you're going to have some disadvantages on things. So. So you are going to have the restrained condition, which we can bring up. Restrained. Oops, not retrained. Restrained. You don't but the movement is not there.
Okay.
So attack rolls against you have advantage. Your attack rolls have disadvantage and disadvantage on dexterity saving throws. So you have a fair bit of movement. So, Arcana check. So you you don't think it's the drow. You think it's very likely that this is some sort of ward placed so that magic will not work and magical effects will not work inside this prison cell. You are uncertain how far out that extends.
That would make sense. We are in a prison.
Do you notify the group?
Do. It appears that we are in some sort of area that nullifies any magic. So
Now, are you doing that through the telepathy that goes to everyone, or that, but not to Drazzle and me, or do you say that out loud?
It'd probably be through the telepathy, so it would not get to Drazzle and Jason.
Some would say that's probably why they didn't give me any more chores when I lashed out earlier. They just placed me in here to null my abilities.
So that does confirm
it
that.
Probably is only in the cage.
Exactly. Well observed.
So, hello.
Hey.
Is there?
We're just all like staring at each other intently. And
I know
like,
that.
What is going on?
I know that Drazzle told you that he's all well and good. I'm not. This is not where I'd prefer to be. So, can anyone tell me where we are and what we're doing?
You're here.
We are here. We don't exactly know exactly where here is. I think some of the folk here think they know. I'm not so sure. But it seems
And
that we're
you
in
are?
some kind of a prison camp here. Oh, my name's Vic. Pleasure to meet you. I'm sorry, what was your name?
Jasa. I'd
Jason.
shake your hand, but we're bound.
Yeah. Hey, I know we've only said like 12 words to each other, but you seem cool. I like you. Hey, Stool, you mind hooking our new friends up with some of that magic of yours? I don't know what you call that. I've done some things in the past. This is unlike any of those things, those shroom related things. Come on.
Yeah. And so Stool sort of, you see the iridescent spores pop out of him and start to settle on all the new people.
Just take it in. It's a good thing.
Including the drow.
Hello, all. This is new. What a wonderful new thing. Every day, something better.
Ah, that's more
I start-
voices than I'm used to.
I start picking skin off of me that's molting away and just eating it. Like pork cracklings.
Yeah. I've seen grosser since the
Drow.
time we've been down here.
But I don't eat the
Wow.
things put on me.
What else can happen that's going to make this day any better than it is now?
Well, it seems that near anything could do that.
So, Jasa,
Jasa, yes.
Jasa, I'm glad that you came around because, the gang here, we've all been talking. We're kind of like you. We need to find our way out of here because staying here ain't no good. And Vic is going to be pointing over there. Our friend there that gave us this wonderful gift. Well, they are very far from home, and I'm feeling somewhat of a personal responsibility, almost like a guardianship of sorts for that little guy over there. And so we do need to break out, but the problem is we don't got no planners. Are you the planning kind?
No, but I could become so.
Oh, good. Yes, step up to the moment.
But at this point, all I know is that I was dragged in and thrown into a cell. So if there's a plan to be made, I might need more information.
Yeah.
And,
Well,
you hear Jim Jar laugh when you say more information. He's like, I know just the thing. And he turns to Vic and he says, Vic, You strike me as the sort of betting man.
You got it. Jim Jar, you know me so well.
He says, I'll bet you 20 gold. You can't find where they hid all your stuff by tomorrow this time.
Okay. That seems like a fair prompt for a wager, but come on. What you got? How is this going to be? What do you have to wager with?
And Jim Jar sort of looks at you and says, don't you worry. I always pay my bets. And you are, like, even if you rolled an insight of 1, you believe this in some strange sense. You know this to be true.
Well, I do believe that the cosmos and the universe works in mysterious ways, and Jim Jar, I'm inclined to believe you, and I'll take that wager. So all we gotta do is find our stuff. You say
You believe that our equipment, the things that we'd had on us, might be nearby.
It's like it's a wager.
There's even
I knew where
games
it
in
was.
this place.
I wouldn't bet you.
Hey, you know where our possessions are.
Nope, I don't. I don't know where my possessions are either.
You had possessions? This is even getting good.
But if you need information, a good way is, I find, put a bet behind it. People seem motivated for money and a little bit of a challenge.
Can I like read this guy? I mean, we're all getting like
Whatever you want to.
we're all getting like very feel good vibes off of him, but
Yep.
I don't
I would
know.
like to. I would also like to roll an insight.
Everyone in here is off in some way. Like, and
Yes, but to Dolphin, he is the most off. Like everyone else has like a thing, and his thing is like the most unsettling too.
he is inscrutable in many ways, but just this warm, like fatherly feeling.
Don't like that.
And hold on, you're a gnome, right?
I am.
In fact, I would say after about, because he's gnome too, after about 5 minutes of really worrying about it, you catch yourself not worrying about it anymore. Like, I'm not saying your character is forced not to worry. I'm just saying as you stop actively thinking about it, you fall into more and more of like, almost like, I don't know, like yeah, I want to follow this guy. Like you in particular.
And I turn to Vic and say, it seems like an interesting challenge. I'd be willing to help out.
What does the door look like?
So the door is it's made of a deep iron. There is a lock on it, and you've seen most of the guards have the key. Like it's not just most of the time there's 1 or 2 guards outside there. You are all, as like the days go on, and maybe you don't know this right this moment for those of you who just arrived, but you recognize that all of you are meant to be transported to the big city as an offering to increase the prestige of this outpost, and perhaps Olara personally.
You get to travel? Or take us on a field trip?
I think it's a
I've never
one-way
seen the
ticket.
city.
Drazel, I think we need to discuss. Sometimes you can be too positive.
Well, how can you be too positive? There's no such thing.
There are times when a bit of negative thinking is beneficial.
Any negative that you have is simply going to be balanced out by an equal positive.
Okay,
In
so
order to understand that you could be better off, you might need to realize that everything isn't perfect.
That's going to be hard to understand how that could be. I mean, look around us. What hasn't been provided for?
Most everything, really.
And I think you just got to take it all in. Here it all is. It's been given to us exactly as we need it. Food available. Shelter available.
The only food we've seen so far is your own scales that you're eating.
Would you like some?
No.
I'm not at that point yet.
Oh, thank
Ask
you.
me 2 days from now.
I'm sure you've
Drazzle.
had something to eat.
Oh yeah, they bring us this brothy, gross soup. It's day in, day out, same thing. Kind of gross, but it's enough to
But every day,
sustain
the
us.
same thing. Think how good that takes away your desire for something different. You get used to it, and you get better.
Drazzle, I'm now realizing how annoying I was day one with all this positive talk to all these people in here.
Zom nods head enthusiastically.
Okay, so we need to figure out a plan here, and judging by what little I know of all of you, it seems like Drazzle here and Shushar are going to be out on the planning side of things, solely on the fact that they're a little too positive. That's what's going on here.
Well, an escape could be positive.
Damn pop.
That could be even more exciting. If we're here, we're in a cage because we're designed to escape it. Why else would we be behind bars if we weren't to go on the other side of it?
Now that's the first thing you've said that I think makes a lot of sense.
Everything has a reason. Everything is connected. They're all linked together in this best world.
I think
So-
probably who would be the most depressed? I think. Not everyone's here yet. I think that Prince Darendel says something to the effect of like, "I don't think we'll ever escape. I'll be stuck in this body forever." Like he's particularly negative. And Jim Jar throws out, and then Eldeth quickly corrects him. And Jim Jar says, "Well, you wouldn't be the first to escape." And Eldeth says, "He's dead, Jim Jar."
Oh.
Well,
What?
That's one form of escape I'd like to avoid.
Jim Jar is like, "No, I'm sure he made his way. Who knows? We may see him again."
Who is he?
Runt. And you hear Eldeth say like, "Fucking dick." Like clearly, whoever this Runt is, not a fan.
How? Tell me. Now,
Oh, what?
did he escape?
He jumped into those webs. Tried to climb down. Tried to run into the darkness. Said he had to prove something to his god.
Oh, that's always problematic.
Which god would that be?
Oh, you're gonna make me look up the god of Grumush.
Oh, he's an orc.
Yeah.
Explains everything.
They put him on some sort of duty one day, carrying barrels, and he just went for it. I know orcs are brave, but I didn't hear a crunch, so I think he got away. Eldeth snorts.
Vic.
While this conversation's happening, I want to be looking at the door. I want to look at what's the guards on the other side. I also want to look at how far apart the bars are and think about whether I could try to get through them.
So the door itself is solid iron. Let me actually see.
So it's not bars. It's solid.
No, it's not bars, but there is
Gotcha.
there's a window, like you can see the guard,
Okay.
or the back of the guard's head, basically. So he's maybe like 2-3 feet in front of the door. The door can't open without hitting him in the back.
Mm-hmm.
He's not a robot. He doesn't stand there the whole time, so sometimes he wanders around. You see him. I would say you see him occasionally looking down. If you're looking at the side view.
Mm-hmm.
You see him occasionally looking down these stairs towards whatever's down there. None of you on your tasks have done anything down there, so you don't necessarily know what's down there. And then it's not very long to guard duty, maybe like 3 hours or so. You have a lot of trouble telling how much time has passed because it's dark.
Now there's water
Other
down
specific
below, is
questions you
there?
want?
There's water down below, right?
There is water. You can hear the rushing of the water. For those of you who have gone out and done tasks, you have felt the sort of the breeze that comes with the rushing of the water. Although I'm not sure. No, it's 5 feet each. So you probably would have been able to feel the mist and stuff. And those of you who filled barrels definitely were basically right next to the waterfall. And there is a pool below. Yeah.
We could hobbit this and just jump into barrels and jump overboard. We really could just hobbit this.
We could,
familiar
but
with
you know, I really want to win that wager there with that gym jar and find our stuff. And I'm going to turn my attention to what was his name? Jorlin? Was that the drow?
He's not there.
Oh, this is a different.
Jorlin seems to be Jorlin's the disfigured drow who seems to have some position of authority.
This drow that was thrown in here is not him.
No, nope.
Oh,
Different
okay.
drow.
I want to talk to him then. And basically say, hey, you know, I'm not sure what it is. What is it that caused you to be thrown in here, my friend?
So yeah, let's advance a day or so. Okay, so that he's awake. If there's anything you guys want to do in that day, but I'm trying to sort of I have 3 more people for you to meet. 4.
So the
5.
only thing that I want to accomplish is I want to very carefully watch the guards, and I want to figure out where they keep the keys to the cell on their person.
Okay.
And if an opportunity presents itself, I might try to pickpocket a key.
Okay. So we'll do that at one of your next tasks. It's
Okay.
pretty easy. There's most of them carry keys, and so it would be you do get the sense that if you're caught, it could be very bad.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
I'm just trying to observe any speaking moments that I hear them saying things, and to most of the people watching, I just seem like I'm talking to myself, but I'm trying to wrap my lizard mouth around some of these unfamiliar words and phrases to see what I can understand.
So, Corey, what I'd really like to do is watch each of the guards and maybe even make a perception or insight or something to try to figure out if there's one of them that might be easiest to get the key off of. If they keep it in a place that would be easier to pull it off.
All right. So, Jaisa? Am I saying that right?
Jaisa.
Let me just mention some things that you do notice while you're looking at that. Of the people guarding you, right?
Mm-hmm.
You count over the next few days, you count 15 different ones.
Okay.
There are a lot of drow here. You also count all of you as a group, as you're sort of starting to take an inventory. You have seen this priestess who's wandering around, who does not seem to be Ilvara. And then you see 2 people who seem to have some sort of positions of authority. The guy with the scorched face, and then another guy who everyone's calling, the boss. And you've heard rumors that Ilvara is sleeping with him now, not Jorlan. And so remind me when you go to do something with that key.
Mm-hmm.
We will do the roll then, because
Okay.
what I'm anticipating, just with timing tonight, I'm anticipating that we'll do all the planning tonight, and then we'll do the heist next week.
Okay.
And rather than split the rolls between 2 weeks, so that's all I'm suggesting that for. So
that
just
sounds great.
Okay, so I think you wanted to talk to Sareth.
Yeah, and I guess a question, because I made an assumption before. Do we think that this drow is a part of this contingent? Is it a guard, or do we think it's
Looks a little different. Is
okay?
dressed a little. They stripped him of his items, but they stripped him. They didn't completely strip him of his like outfit, if that makes sense. So he's a little bit better dressed than the rest of you.
Mhm.
You don't have a real sense, but your sense is that he is not from this out. He doesn't look like a guard. Like he looks more frail.
And you said it's like a day later when he comes to.
Yeah, like he would wake up at that night because
Okay.
he was unconscious.
I just ask him, hey, check in on him, see how he's doing, how he's feeling, and basically get to the point of asking him, does he know specifically where we are?
Um, yeah, and he says we're in fucking Velkenvelv, fucking backwaters of the Underdark. And he looks at you and he's like, "I'm Sareth."
Sorry, good to meet you.
These
What? How come
Go
they
ahead.
throw you in here?
these guys, they think I murdered someone.
Uh,
Who?
no offense, but kind of seems like murder maybe isn't so much a problem all the
Another
time. Must have been
drow.
a very significant person that you killed.
They think I murdered another drow. We don't do that. You lesser folk.
Yeah.
It's not even murder. Just culling cattle.
But did he need to be killed? That it was a good thing.
He looks at you with disgust. He's like, I didn't murder anyone. If I did, I would remember it.
Well, I'm sure this is giving you a good opportunity for growth.
He turns his back to you and sort of sits and sort of picks at fungus on the wall. And you guys, just to be clear, not that this made any difference in this conversation, this was all out loud. Stool's thing only works for an hour. So unless you
Well,
are asking for it, I'm gonna assume it's not on.
I want to ask.
um,
Oh, go ahead.
well, this is out of game. I don't think we should ask still for it now. This drow seems not. Uh, seems like he would betray us. Basically, is what I'm saying.
Hmm.
If we let him in. Well, who were you? Who and in game now? Who were you accused of murdering, and how did that happen?
Just have to ask all the hard questions. Um, yeah.
I'm just trying to
Uh,
play.
What is
Uh,
your maiden name?
Tell us your backstory.
What's your backstory?
Where did you grow up?
Tell me.
What's your favorite food?
What's your favorite food that you have that they don't have here?
He's like, I killed someone from one of the other houses in Menzelbransen. I fled when I was accused. I didn't do it. I would remember if I did.
Well, Sarth, I'm imagining that you'd like to get on out of here so you could prove your innocence, establish your reputation again.
This
Is
is
that
just me.
possible?
I plan to leave these lands.
Well, maybe we can be of a help to one another. You see, we're all been talking about this for days. We're still working out the kinks, but we think that maybe if we could find our stuffs, that might be helpful. Seems like you know something about how you've been here, you heard about it before. Can you give us any insight? Where, and it might be like, hey, and find the pokey stick that some of the others have been drawing in the sand and kind of draw out what I know of the layout and try to entice Sereth. Maybe he might be able to lend some insight where he thinks something like that, like our stuff, might be kept.
He looks at you and he's like, well, if they're good lapdogs, it'll be in her quarters. That bitch, Ilvara. I don't use that word a lot for women. I apologize, Corey the DM. This is sorry.
It's part of the acting. It's
Yeah.
part of the acting.
Sometimes you have to be an asshole as a character.
I know.
It's not G-rated in the Underdark.
No, but I
But I don't blame you.
as a gay dude, I tend to use it more on gay dudes than I do on women. So a lot more. And so Sareth is like, they're just waiting for her to get back to kill me. Maybe transfer me back. She'll get a lot of prestige amongst the families. She was a little disgraced being sent here, so I'm sure she's looking for a way to get back. And he looks around at like the weird cast of characters around him at this, and he's like, and I'm sure you all are part of our plan to get back in the good graces of Menzoberranzan society.
Well, you said good graces. What would that entail us doing?
Being dead.
Or being sold.
Slaving away for the amusement of my people.
That too.
Yes, I would prefer not to be doing that.
I've done enough of that.
You see, Sarth starts to like itch. And it's very like, particularly as you talk about Menzoberranzan, you just see him like, almost like he doesn't know he's doing it.
Everyone's got a thing. Kind sir, would you let us know where exactly is this high priestess's quarters? We would like to reobtain our possession.
Well, where would be a place of honor if you don't know this outpost?
I think those of you who have already done tasks of any kind would probably have a little bit of a layout that if you're looking at this, oh, you don't see numbers. If you're looking at the side view, the biggest stalagmite,
They cling tight to the ceiling.
Stalactite. It's most likely in there because you weren't allowed in there. You cleaned quarters everywhere else, but you were like someone brought you out the chamber pot from those quarters.
The one with the big scary spider wielding multiple blades. That one.
Oh, that's nothing. I think that's just illustrative.
The shadows.
Yeah. Okay.
That's just art.
Whew.
That's just art on the wall.
So, Corey, do we think that's this one here?
Where are you? Are you on the? Yeah, it's that one.
Okay.
So, yeah, you guys are here. From here to the stalactite right next to you is a rope bridge, as you can see in the overview. And then there's another rope bridge to this walkway, and then it's a rope bridge into that stalactite.
Well, I'm going to give everyone a rundown of what I've been observing, the rough numbers and what the patrol schedules are and that sort of thing.
Okay.
And say, as we go about tasks, I haven't been assigned a task yet, so I don't know what they entail, but as we do that, see what we can determine as far as that tower and entrances, exits.
Okay. I have a couple more character introductions, unfortunately, still to make.
There's so many people.
Yeah. At some point, in the next few days, and I'm just trying to get this over with so we can do a break and then reconnaissance and all those tasks.
Yeah.
At some point over the next few days, a pair of twins, deep gnome twins, get thrown in. Jim Jar is especially excited to see them. And he puts his hand on one of them. It's a male and female, look exactly alike. And he says to the female, he says, everything will be fine. And you hear him say, those of you who speak Gnomish, which I just think is Delphex, he says, you're finally safe. So that happens. We can talk about that, but let me throw in the last one that I have to introduce you to. And so for those of you who know anything about the Underdark, you know that the races above ground, there are some races that are mirrored below ground. So the deep gnomes are the mirror of the gnomes. And you know about the Duragar, who are the mirror of the dwarves. And Duragar are not very common on the surface, but are more common than deep gnomes. And then you... one second. You... one that you have not... heard much about are the Darrow. And they seem to be similar to dwarves. You know very, very little about them. So when this creature is first thrown into the prison with you, you just assume he is a dwarf. But when he wakes up 100% energy. Like definitely a morning person. And he looks up and he says, oh, well, I guess we got to get out of here, right? I'm Bupito. Bupito I am. Bupito. Who, you, there's a lot of you. Who, what, when are we leaving? We need to get out of here. And he's like pacing in front of the door back and forth.
Yeah, well, you know, you just got here, and the rest of us, we've been here for a bit. We agree. None of us are Bupito. That's you. The rest of us, though. Yeah, right. So we're working out the details there. You just have a smoke break.
You have talked way too long. He goes around to each person and he puts out his hand. And he's like, I'm Bupito. And then he walks to the next person. I'm Bupito. And he just walks around. And then he goes back. Like he totally your sentence was longer than 7 words. So he did what he had to do. And now he's like walking back and forth, pacing in front of. And you hear him start to interact with the guard outside.
Uh-oh.
He's like, Bupito, when are we leaving? Like, Bupito want to leave.
I see this going poorly, and I kind of like this guy. At least he's consistent, you know? It'd be weirder if he was, like, putting out, like, different names and such. So I want to go over there and, like, hand over his mouth, like, try to pull him away from the gate.
Make me a strength athletics check.
Oh.
I will find it.
Oh, my back.
Did I spell?
Probably not your best move.
2 P's and 1 named NPCs. Bupito. Oh, so yeah, like he's like, whoop. He's like, I'm Bupito, and he's like, hey guard, hey. And you see the guard getting really, really annoyed. What are the rest of you doing?
Victor, do you need any help?
He's like,
Are we doing something
time to
fun?
leave.
Guard, there's something kind of funny with this one. Look, I can see it all over your face. You're annoyed, but
So, Vic,
it's not any better on this side.
I'm gonna. Maybe this won't work because of the thing, but I'm gonna try to speak to Vic in his head.
Okay.
Uh,
To Vic. Okay.
yeah. And so, Vic, you hear my voice in your head in common say, he's a liability. It might be best to let this work itself out. We won't be able to escape with him repeating that.
Yeah. He also could be an opportunity, you know? Look, they're reacting to him.
If we can channel him,
How many
yes.
guards are? How many guards are in front of us? By like,
Just we'll say 1 for now.
And Vic, this isn't from the spores, because
Oh.
Stool hasn't done that.
Oh, okay. So can I respond to you with whatever you're using?
You
Okay.
can, yeah.
So I want to ask you if you have seen the key on this.
Let me look at what it says again. No, I don't think you can. I can speak telepathically to any one creature. I don't think you can respond.
So maybe I'll just kind of slink away then and like get close, like you've reached out to me, get real close to you, and then I'll whisper in your ear, does that guard out there have the key?
They all do. Each one of them has a key, and they all keep it in different places on their person. I've been trying to suss out which would be the easiest mark to take it from.
Maybe that guard is gonna get so ticked off at this annoying little namesayer that he might be willing to open up this gate and give him a little bit of a beating. We could cause a scene. Maybe you could. Yeah, Bupito, be right with you, buddy.
You see a ray of green energy fly through the prison window, hit Bupito right in the chest, and he flies back like 5 feet, and you just see him fall to the ground and start vomiting uncontrollably on his side.
Did anyone catch this fella's name? Maybe we should
That's
help.
not the description. That's not the distraction that's going to help us.
Oh man, he's vomiting everywhere. Could be that we all get sick and die before we get wherever you guys need us to go. You gotta get him out of here. I'm just gonna cause a scene and kind of a flip out. Trying to get the guard to react.
They look at you and be like, he'll be fine in 8 to 10 hours. Just a little bit of, how do you say, vomit. And they're broken.
That's exactly how.
It's everywhere.
exactly. I was like, exactly how you say it.
This fella's only a couple feet tall. 10 hours, he's gonna vomit his entire body mass.
No, it'll turn into dry heaving eventually.
So let me make sure you've met everyone that you need to meet. Sorry, I'll introduce some of these. The two deep gnomes are named Topsy and Turvy. Topsy, let me get this right. Topsy is the female. She's the only one who talks. Turvy does not, seemingly for no reason, does not speak. So,
Well, the good news is I have a plan that can only be executed with 14 people.
That is convenient. Both that you have a plan and that we have the requisite number of people.
Nice.
Topsy and Turvy are basically clinging to each other in the corner. And yeah. So I think before we take a break, I will set up the break and after our last sort of hour together. You hear a lot of commotion coming from the guards. And it becoming very, very clear to you that the priestess Ilvara is about to return. And the guards are getting ready for her return.
There is something to be said for taking care of this before she returns and being gone from everything we've overheard about her.
Great. How many days have I been here underground?
So, I mean, we can play around with this number, but the number you rolled was that you've been in the prison. Is the number you rolled was just one. You were one of the you and Jasa,
Asa,
you and Jasa rolled a 1 for the number of days you were in the prison before things.
So I'm still just ridiculously content and think everything's fine. I had no time to really recognize the danger of where I'm at.
though we've gotten you to recognize that escape could be another part of this grand adventure that you're on.
Could be good, could be the other side. It's good for someone. Someone will benefit.
Pepito.
Pepito, no. I thought he actually just died. I was like, oh.
No, he's for those of you who have access to the spell or it's a ray of sickness that you saw.
I just heard you say ray of green whatever, and I was like, oh yeah, they just did like a Harry Potter death spell through the bars.
Right, it's just ray.
Yeah, I thought he just got Eldritch Blast to oblivion or something. I was like, oh my god.
Yeah. So no, you guys are valuable prisoners, right? Like
yeah.
you they're not killing you. They're just gonna keep you imprisoned until they can get you to where they need you to be. So we are gonna take a quick 5-minute break, just so a bio break, grab some more beverages of choice, and we will be back and we will see how these guys plan to escape and what they're going to do about this Ilvara character. So, see you soon. Pupito. Hi. Welcome back, guys. Thanks for staying tuned with us. We're going to play probably for like 40 more minutes before we close the books for the night. When we left, nearly the entire cast of characters has been put into the slave pen. And you are aware that Ilvara is returning. And I think the first sign of her returning is that you start to see the outpost fill with other Quaggoths. And these Quaggoths are roaming around, carrying things like luggage and whatnot. And you see them slowly making their way and preparing those central quarters. So what I'm going to say is that you all have you'll have a round of tasks for the day. So I'll split you into groups, and we'll go at it. So, oops, I'm just very tired at the moment. I think, let's see, we'll just go around the table. Um, so Drazel, you are sent with Eldeth to clean the dishes from the meal inside the dining hall. And so the two of you are down in this room, if you can see.
Okay.
Basically southwest of the thing.
Near where I was first came to.
Yeah, exactly. Jasa, you and Topsy and Turvy are clearing some barracks. And it's nearby where Drazel is cooking. But this barracks, and I can explain all these rooms to you, just let me know. There's some weaponry in there. It's not your weaponry. But in a pinch, you might be able to do something.
We're guarded in the kitchen where we're cleaning the plates?
In the room next to it.
But is there a guard in there with us while we're doing the dishes?
Oh, yeah. There's a guard with all of you.
Okay. Does he seem to
and
mind
now-
that I'm just scooping the food into my mouth and then washing the plate off?
Probably. I think he already thinks you are a disgusting being. I don't think that changes his opinion strongly in one way or the other.
Mission accomplished.
You're so far off the perfection of a drow that
I'm humming along as I lick the plates.
So let's see, Vic, you go with a few of them. Let's say Shushnyar and Jim Jar. You guys are on chamber pot duty again. And once again, they're keeping you out of that central stalactite, but everywhere else, you're emptying the chamber pots that are in the prison cell, but also around the area. Did I give you one, Jasa?
Yeah.
Okay. Dalfix, you have been sent to do laundry. And so the way this works is you're going around to the various, everything except that main stalactite, and you are washing it, and then you are hanging like little pieces of spider web that are around. You're hanging it on that to dry. And then last but not least, I'm missing Zaim. You are sent to cook. And that the kitchen is here, if you see that. And you are basically cooking for the guards. You would never be allowed to cook for the priestess. But you see one of the Quaggoths in there is working with one of the drow to actually prepare something for her return. So is there anything the group of you would like to do while you're out on these tasks?
Are there any utensils or just plates that I'm cleaning?
There's utensils. There's knives and forks.
Okay. Any chance I can acquire one of those?
Sure. Just recognize that if you get caught, it could be very bad. You are aware of that.
Well, I'm not so much looking to take it yet as trying to figure out, are they observing me? Is there a count of plates? Does it seem like it's a difference? Like we have 20 knives and only have 19 today. It's really just if they see me with it would be the problem.
Yes. But they're watching you.
Right.
So
I would like to telepathically ask Topsy if she and Turvy can create a slight distraction on the other side of the room to allow me to try to hide a small weapon, a dagger or short sword or something small on my person.
can she respond back to you? Did we figure this out?
She can't telepathically. I mean, she could respond non-verbally or something. She can't telepathically respond to me.
I would absolutely let Stool have done his thing before you leave, if you guys want that.
Yeah, that makes
I
sense.
think we do.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
good.
Okay. So, so, um, Topsy says, um, if I do this to you for you, and if we get out, you have to make me a promise. You, we're not going back to Blingdenstone.
I will happily make that promise, as I don't know where that is.
There's no way we're going back to Blingdenstone. And once again, this is a group chat. Like there's no individual messages. So Turvey hears it, and Turvey is nodding frantically. They're not going back to Blingdenstone.
I will make you that promise
But
if it is within my power to keep it.
so you are in the armory, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So they're walking over, and they have like a makeshift broom made out of what seems to be a stalk of a mushroom, and then some other small pieces of mushroom at the bottom. And they intentionally knock over a shield, and it just clatters to the ground. And the guard turns and starts screaming at them in Undercommon.
I will take that opportunity to try to hide a small weapon, whatever you think there is there.
Probably a dagger is all you're going to be able to like actually hide on your stuff.
Yeah, that sounds great.
So yep, make me a sleight of hand check with advantage. Nice. And then I am going to make one second. Oops. Oh, yeah, you definitely made it. Sorry. I was just looking for passive. Okay, yep. You have a dagger.
Okay, great.
No. What else, the rest of you?
Now in the kitchen where I'm serving food, there's Quaggoths and guards.
Yeah, everyone's there. Like it looks like the Quaggoths might be some sort of menial labor for Ilvara. Like, and this group that has come back might be like the advance warning that she was coming back, but also do a lot of the menial tasks.
Well,
So they're like cutting the vegetables and.
Yeah, there's too many enemies around. I'm not going to try anything. I'll just try and learn under dark cuisine.
I think, you study some of the mushrooms, and we'll talk about that if you guys escape. But one of the things you become aware of, this area down here, let me just make sure of this. Hold on. This area that is down below you, down below the prison, I believe that's where the Quaggoths stay. And that's why you didn't yep. So this area, if you're looking at the side view, this area over here is their den. So you see them coming to and from that area. Okay. What else? Vic.
So I'm emptying the chamber pots with Jimjar and Shushar.
Yep.
Where do we empty these out? We just dump them
So
over
you're just pouring them into the waterfall, basically.
Okay. And how closely are we supervised when we do that?
I would say as you get like right up, like there's a walkway over to where you pour it down. Like here, let me give you a good example. So if you're looking at the top view, let me draw on this. So let's say there's a little ledge over here, right? And as you walk over to it, the guard maybe stands 5-10 feet away. Like he doesn't think you're gonna jump because you just die.
So we've all gone through this building then.
You have all gone through that building. Do you want to know what it is? It's just It's a guard post. And it has, if you look down below, you guys have not, oh, you have been upstairs. Yeah, it's just a guard tower. So there's a bunch of bunks around there's weaponry. Upstairs is like the captain of that guard tower. And that's, let's say upstairs is where Jorlan sleeps.
Okay. So we're aware that there's weapons that are stored in there.
There's also some armor that you could potentially fit in. So you see some chainmail, some studded leather armor, some shields, some crossbows, things like that.
I have to ask you a question because maybe I misunderstood something. Jorlan, he was a disgraced like lover of the
Yes.
drow priestess, right? He's
Yep.
not a prisoner at all. Like he's free and walking around. He just got roughed up a bit and is disgraced.
And is still in a position of authority.
Oh, got it. Okay. And he's staying here.
Above, oh, you can't see. Yeah. He's staying in the guard tower closest to you. So here. Can you see that? Where I put the X? On the side view.
Oh, on the side view.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Got it. Okay.
He's
okay.
there. And then there's more guards beneath him. And then the new boy toy, sure, based on where he goes and comes from, has his in the big stalactite
Down here.
You wouldn't know exactly where it is, but
it's
down.
disfigured looking guy. Jorlan's one that's been hanging out by our door and we've spoken to.
He is seemingly in charge of the guards. He and Shore sort of share responsibility for who's in charge.
Was he the one that had that green magic ray stick?
No, that was just a guard who cast that.
So, sorry, just as I'm emptying out the chamber pots, and this has been routine for a while, in terms of the big, where we think, Ilvara, right? Is that her name?
Yep.
She stays in there. Do I get any sense of like who goes back and forth or who's permitted to enter those chambers?
So right now, the people you see, you definitely Shore, right? Occasionally you see a guard go in with Shore. You don't see guards go in by themselves. You do see the Quaggoth go in and out. They seem right, but they're only recently returned. The other thing I wanted to point out, just if it's not obvious on this map, this thing over here. Oops, sorry. To point it out. I'm on the overview map. This thing. That's this lift. And so all of you are aware that there's a lift that goes down to the bottom of the floor. It has not, they've been bringing prisoners up through it mostly. And some of the Quaggoth came through it. There are two other exits. There's actually, it goes into the rock. You sort of can see it better on the overview map. Shoot.
Oh,
no.
okay.
Yeah, sorry, never mind. They're not at the level of the stalactites where everything is. So.
Another question about what I'm observing with this building. Does it seem like there's a key that is needed or any kind of special protocol? It's just they go in, they go out?
Yeah, I don't think so. Let me just check. So they walk in. Yeah, so they walk in the top part of it. There is no key to walk into that. You see the bridge, if you're looking at the top part of it, the overview map, you see the bridge go across. And there is a door there, but it seems to be open and closed, no key.
Okay.
Or I see the lift, you said, because that's right in front of me.
Yep.
But it's not being used.
It's not, I mean, it's not, there's not that many visitors coming and going.
but it seems like that's where we would have been brought in from. So we came into this place from below.
Yeah. Any of you who was actually like awake when you came in, which I don't think any of the characters were, or any of the player characters were, but some of the people were, yes, that's where you came in. That's the only way up and down.
Okay, so that would make sense to me that if I'm thinking, how did I get here and how would I get back out, it would be using that lift.
Unless you're going to jump and do the crazy thing.
But I can see how that lift operates. Does it need someone to be left behind?
It's one of like, I would say it's not one of the tasks you have done, but some of the prisoners have done the task of like, when things come in, have dealt with the cranking, which is just basically manual labor to bring people up and down.
Okay.
So someone in the prison cell knows how it works. We'll say that.
Is it dark?
Yep. It's dim light everywhere. It's definitely, you can't see the ground. Like it doesn't seem to be dim light below.
But in the kitchen area where I'm doing the plates,
Dim light. All the drow can see in the dark, so.
have I picked up enough words to say back to the drow and ask, light? Light? And then try to see if he gives me any kind of recognition, try to cast a light cantrip.
Are you trying to cast the light cantrip?
I'm asking him if I can, create light. I'm trying to make that gesture. Light?
I mean, he seems to understand you, but whether or not, like, I would. So based on what you sent me, Scott, I am. This is Scott and my work talk. I am saying you would be a 1/1 in Undercommon.
Okay. Make light.
Like memorize phrases. Greeting.
I make light. Magic light.
See? He hits you with a whip, and you take 2 points of damage.
This is good. I have learned something from this. This will make me smarter.
Anything else that you guys want to do?
On the way back to the prison, I do want to try to lift a key off of a guard.
Okay. So I would like you. Hold on.
And if I can do it from one that I have observed where I think I know where they keep it and the easiest mark I know of.
Okay. I am going to say it's not at this. So, sleight of hand is what is dex based, right?
Yes.
So you have disadvantage on it right now. Is that restrained or is that just saving throws?
Just saving throws.
Okay. So I'm going to say it's just a flat roll.
I'd like to use one of our rerolls.
Oh, you already did it. No, that's the old one, right?
No, that was from palming the dagger.
Yeah. So so for a reroll, you can roll it and then say reroll.
Okay.
It's not advantage. Or it's not inspiration.
Okay. So it won't be just. All right. I'm gonna use a reroll.
Yeah, that's that. So yeah, that's all I was getting at. So Scott, mark one of those off.
Marked.
That one didn't roll in chat. Let me.
Got it.
All right.
So you managed to take one of the keys. You pocket it in your whatever.
Hide it in my clothes.
Yep, hide it in your clothes. And so you are walking back into the slave pen with both a dagger and a key,
Yep.
which may or may not be useful.
And then because Stool did the thing, I will tell everybody that I have it.
Okay. I think you hear like Sareth sort of laugh over the group chat. And you hear like it's not like it's a laugh of like derision. You hear him tell everyone you realize that if you leave here, she will find you.
I didn't realize that. How do you know this? What makes us so important that she's going to track us down?
What makes you so important that you are here? Why would she go through the trouble of creating this prison and collecting slaves?
Our odds are improved if we are elsewhere, even if she will come seek us.
Oh, she will.
She can find us easier here now. We could go somewhere else. There'll be no difference for her. Her life will be unchanged. She will seek us. It just becomes more difficult.
I'm a man on death row. Of course I will run. But if you run, realize you will have to keep running and never stop.
Where would you run to? What is the best running place?
We're going to keep that conversation till next week.
Okay.
Because that is a very big choice about where you go.
We will need to escape here before that's a concern we have anyway.
So we're all back in our cell at this point, or we're still working?
Yeah.
Okay. I just want to say, Jason, did you get the key?
Yes, I have a key.
Yes.
And I have a dagger.
So it seems like oftentimes we're guarded by just one guard, right? There are times where that's true.
Yep. Sometimes too.
If we can time this where we can, maybe there's a way we can anger the guard so much that he personally wants to come in here and beat the crap out of one of us. I do have the ability, I think, to be able to make myself look like another. If we could get it where one of them is isolated, I might be able to, if we could subdue just one of them, I could take his place, and maybe that would translate to an opportunity for us.
I angered one. I asked him for a little bit of light. He hit me. Maybe I could do that again.
I could. Would it then make sense for me to give you the key? If we can get one of them to come inside and we subdue him, and you take his place outside, if you have the key, once we know that there's no blowback from that you've successfully convinced them that you are the guard and there's no issue, once that is calmed down, you could then open the door and let us all out.
It's a place to start, getting out of this cage altogether without them watching us. I think that's step one.
If we allay their suspicions first. Well, you take the key then.
So, Jim Jar comes over to you, Vic, and not on group chat, but rather on speaking out loud. He winks at you and he says, "You owe me 20 gold."
Yeah, guy, Jim. I know you're optimist. I got no gold. I am good for it. I will get you back. I promise. But
also, I believe the bet was to the end of the day. The day's not over yet.
It was a day from now.
Double or nothing, Jim Jam. Jim Jar, sorry, I'm mispronouncing your name. That's rude. Jim Jar, how double or nothing? We get through tomorrow night. Get our stuff.
You
40 gold.
you start to hear the lift in the distance moving.
Oh boy, it's getting crowded in here. I don't think we can take another lift full.
And you hear a woman shrill voice yelling orders at the rest. And you see the guard who's standing outside the door, and he looks at you and he says, I guess you all are getting an audience with the mistress. You should be lucky that you're allowed such privileges. And he unlocks the door, and you see a number. There's maybe 4 or 5 guards out, all fully armored, all fully weaponed, armed, and they are escorting you over to this main area. And there you see, and there's sport chat has ended at this point. There you see an orc on his knees, absolutely bloody, standing before a woman who is quite beautiful in a very scary, freaky way. And let's find her. Ilfara. And she has this scourge, and the end of the scourge has these 3 tentacles. And she addresses you all, and her voice, it's clear that for those of you who are priests or know of priestly ways, cleric ways, you know that thaumaturgy is being used. And her voice just echoes out, and it's in pretty decent common. And she says, my pets, this is what happens to those who defy me. And you can see those of you who are close enough to Jim Jar and Eldeth, they definitely recognize this orc. And you see Eldeth grabbing on to Jim Jar's shoulder. And she looks down, Ilvara looks down at the orc and says, slave, do you have anything to say to yourself before I end your pitiful existence? And the orc looks up and just spits blood in Ilvara's face. And she immediately, without flinching, without wiping it off her face, takes this scourge and just slashes it. And you see the 3 tentacles start to wrap around his neck. And they just start to constrict and constrict. And you see his face first turn purple, and then you see that the scourge is actually causing so much pressure. You see the eyes bulging out, and you see the blood vessels bursting in the skin to where things are bruising instantly. And then you just start to see blood flowing out of ears and mouth and nose. And finally you just see the blank look as he falls over and the scourge releases itself. She turns around and you see that priestess who'd been wandering around, and I don't remember her name off the top of my head, but she says the name and I'll get it to you. And she turns around and she says, priestess, feed the spiders. And you see 2 Quaggoth come over and pick up the slave, and the priestess and the Quaggoth go over to the side, and you see them sort of toss the orc into the web below. And she turns to you. the group of you and says, I trust you won't make the same mistake, slaves. Soon you will not be my problem. You'll be someone else's problem. But until then, I demand obedience. And she looks over, and you see Jorlan, who I think I actually have. Do I have? No, I don't have a Jorlan. And sure. No, all right. She looks over at Jorlan, and she says, "Get these filth away from me." And she turns over to Shore, the pretty-looking one, her boy toy, and she sort of caresses him and says, "Come, my lover. It has been long since I've enjoyed you." And she drags him away to that stalactite. He seems quite happy about it. And Jorlan and the guards start to lead you back to the prison cell. And that is where we will leave it for tonight. Thank you, everyone, for staying with us and watching. Great opening, I thought. Great opening, considering all the stuff we had to get through with characters. So we appreciate you for sticking around with us. We will be back next week. Check the channel for the time. It'll probably be roughly the same time, but we're still working that out amongst ourselves. We have some other stuff coming up this week. You're going to have to help me, Alex.
Saturday night we have DM Dave, who's hanging out with us out there, is running Kingmaker. They're doing a 5th edition conversion of a Pathfinder adventure series. So they're doing that Saturday night. That's pretty new, so come check them out. Some new faces on the channel. And then Sunday night, I think a few of you all are going to be running some Call of Cthulhu with Paul at 6:30 Sunday night. Sounds like it's going to be a brand.
I think not this week.
Not this week.
If I remember correctly, it is Yom Kippur, and Paul will not be able to play.
Gotcha. So we have no game. It's just Kingmaker this weekend, Saturday night with DM Dave, and then if you want, folks, I see Stream Elements has the Discord there. Come hang out in the Discord. I try to post the events of what we're doing every Sunday night in the Discord and on some of our social media, but you can always check out the schedule events also in the info section of the channel here.
Thanks, Alex. And thank you to the players. It was fantastic. I look forward to killing these players soon enough. Or not the players, I'm sorry, the characters of the players. Good murder. But I look forward to Out of the Abyss is something I've run before, and I like it, but it's a logistical challenge. And so look forward to streamlining it and having lots of fun. So thanks, guys, and we will see you next week.
Thank you.
Let's see, maybe we've got some friends we can drop a raid over onto. Let's go and take the show over to, when I think of Out of the Abyss, I think of Duff, because that was one of the first Twitch shows that I watched, was him running this very same module. So we'll go say hi to them. So come and join the raid. Let's go say hi to some of our friends over there. Thanks, everybody.